Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please turn off electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please, Johanna.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
There are no items for discussion. We will go right to department head reports with your approval. Lisa, would you like to start?
Sure, I just have a couple things. Good afternoon. I just want to state publicly the results of our bond sale that took place last week. I know I had forwarded the results to each of the commissioners and to Rich, but just to recap, we sold $15,400,000 in bonds. We had 8 people that bid, and our interest rate is 2.134%. with a premium of $310,805.30. We are all set to close on Monday. I have everything in order, and at that point, I will have the funds prepared to repay our existing bond anticipation notes, which are due on Tuesday, the 6th. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, one other question I had, I'm sorry, and I meant to mention at the Capitol. Dave Miller just had asked me, I know there was discussion in regards to the Margate fishing pier. I don't know where it stands right now, but just keep in mind, if there is some kind of arrangement, if the city is going to take ownership, we just need to be aware for insurance purposes.
Okay.
So just make sure you keep me in a loop so that I could inform Dave about that.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Chief?
We're in the busy season, again, as we all know, summer. It's funny, I just looked for their calls for service, and since last meeting and this meeting, police department's had almost 1,100 calls for service. So it's been a busy few weeks, and we all know. Next Thursday, as a reminder, we have Law Day with the police department at the Margate Library, August 8th at 6:30. For the kids, for the parents, police department will be down there and meet and greet everybody at the police department. Other than that, everything's good.
Thank you. Andrew?
We're continuing all of our summer camps, our summer day camp. And looking back over the last 4 years, we've grown over 100%. Our numbers are up to, we have about 100 kids per week in our camp, in our day camp, which is drastically more than it was just a few years ago. Tonight we wrap up our summer basketball league. We had over 400 kids participate this summer. So tonight are the championships, so hopefully it doesn't rain. And then coming up in August, we have a STEAM camp, gymnastics camp, soccer camp, field hockey camp. We continue our basketball camp, so we have a lot of stuff wrapping up the summer. That's it.
Thank you, Andrew. Rich?
I just want to echo what is being said in recreation. Recreation has really stepped up in the last couple of years, and Andrew and I have had some preliminary discussions. We're going to talk more as the summer winds down, where he has more time, about some reorganization going into next year. We're going to fund the playgrounds, as has been mentioned in our capital, to upgrade our playgrounds. We're going to get into leisure services, even more so for seniors and others, not just recreational ball game stuff, even though that's jumping dramatically as well. We're a family town. The direction has been given by the commissioners that we want to do everything we can to be people-oriented, whether it's the police department, whether it's recreation, we want to attract families to our schools and to our community, and all of these things contribute. And so Andrew and I will be working over the fall toward next year for some positive reorganization and growth in the recreation department. So, thank you. The only other thing I have, Mayor, is I handed out a telecommuting policy last week. I did hear back from Commissioner Amadeo. If there's any comments from either of the other 2 commissioners, please let me know. On August 15th, we'll be having 3 or 4 more policies in front of you for approval. This is a brand-new one, and that's why I wanted to give you a little bit extra time. I'm open to input on it. We were asked to put a telecommuting policy together. We have, with a lot of research through the JIF, a lot of our policies are with heavy guidance from the Joint Insurance Fund. So if you have any comments, please get back to me in the next week or so we can get on the agenda on the 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed?
Okay,
Shoot.
I will cover the highlights in my report of August 1st. First item on here is the dredging project. Roger has a subcommittee meeting scheduled for August 13th. We'll get together on that. We did send some information out to the DEP. We met with them at the end of April. We sent some information to them on May 2nd. We haven't heard back from them. They were hoping to look at what we sent them to try to give us some pointers on how they might be able to smooth the way going forward. I did send a follow-up email, and hopefully we'll get some feedback on that. You didn't have anything to add on dredging? Ventnor Avenue and Washington Avenue intersection. So we sent out an updated concept plan. What I'll describe that as, you know, the objective with that plan was to maximize the plaza area that we can put out in front of this building on Washington Avenue. I've spoken to Rich, Roger, Police, Fire, and the plan is that we're going to mock up this concept and observe it. Police and Fire are going to make sure we can get their vehicles through there. And then I think we just want to take a look at it and see how traffic in general would maneuver around that bump out or plaza or whatever you want to call it. There is some concern, especially with the Wawa there, when you have high volume, that you could have some congestion there because of the way traffic would have to kind of zig around that plaza and move back towards Ventnor Avenue. So we'll mock it up, we'll observe it. We may need to pull it back a little bit, but again, the objective is that we don't want to just have a small, wider sidewalk out there. We want to have some sense of place and a plaza type design. So I'm going to work with everyone on getting that mocked up. We'll mark it out and go from there.
I'd just like to add to that, you know, this has been ongoing for a long time, and I think we need to feel strongly about this. People did reach out to Wawa a while ago, and they didn't seem particularly interested. When they actually see what we're doing, I think they might, which could tremendously improve the plan if they would be part of the solution. I don't think that, I think it has to be safe, and I think the police department has to help us with that, as well as engineers. But by the same token, we're not in business to help Wawa when Wawa could help itself. They had a lot of land over there, and a lot of ways they could reduce the congestion that's in front of what we call in front of their building. This is supposed to be pedestrian oriented. This is a key building in the city. We're trying to make it a sense of place. And the public paid a lot of money, either through the federal government or otherwise, to make this building what it is, and I just don't want the traffic violators the only one to see it when they come in here in the court. I want it to be accessible to, and I think you want that to be accessible to everybody. I'd like to see some receptions here at certain parts of the year. There's all kinds of things that could occur if we had a little sense of place out front. So I'm excited about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the idea was we'll go big, and then if we need to pull it back to make it work functionally, then that's what we'll do. So we'll get that moving quickly on the mock-up. We've already covered item C, which is the bulkhead and promenade. Item D is Atlantic Avenue 2017 phase, which is awarded. Lafayette Construction will be starting obviously after the summer. We're going to schedule a pre-construction meeting for this month to get that work lined up. 18 and 19 Atlantic Avenue we discussed as part of the capital budget. This is the project that will not start construction until the fall of 2020, but due to the 2018 DOT funding associated with the project, we have an award deadline in February. So that'll need to be part of the as part of this bond issuance so we can cover the award of that project. Item F, Safe Routes to School project. So this was the bid we received from Ferry Ozzie. We sent the information up to DOT. They sent it to their Civil Rights Division, and they have approved the DBE submission from the contractor, which was a major hurdle. There's a resolution on the agenda today to award that contract to Ferry Ozzie, and then we will send the award up to DOT, and the DOT will need to concur with the award and then we can get this pre-construction meeting scheduled and get this work lined up. So we're moving at the usual pace of federal aid, but we are moving, and so that's good news.
Ed, one question on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, go ahead.
What would you perceive the starting date of the construction, October 1st?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
Yep. You know, the federal highway will still need to concur before we can move forward, so there's
Right.
still that added step, but yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and I'll keep you updated if that changes. Item G is Thurlow Avenue, Bay Shore Drive West. There is a resolution on the agenda authorizing us to advertise that project for bids. Turning the page over, item H, GIS utility mapping services. I asked my guys to give me kind of their conservative estimate of where this work stands and when it would be completed with each phase. You see the schedule that I laid out there. We're gonna strive to beat the schedule, so this would, I hope, be the worst-case scenario. We could throw multiple crews at it. The one thing I did do was make sure that the storm utility work got done first. I know, Jim, you had asked for some GIS information for CRS, so we're gonna try to get that to you. And you said you needed it in October, is that
Right.
correct?
Thank
Okay.
you.
So that's the objective there. So again, that work is proceeding, and we'll try to get this wrapped up as quickly as possible. Item I is the Firehouse One flood mitigation project that we discussed as part of the upcoming budget, so we'll be moving forward with that shortly.
That's funded in this.
That is funded, okay.
That'll be funded in this bond.
In this bond, right. Item J is, again, this is our beach and dune maintenance permit that we need to review that is in limbo because we are still waiting for the base plan information from the Army Corps. We reach out to them weekly, and it is working its way through the bureaucracy there for them to release that information to us. We need that information in order to complete our submission. So we have everything ready to go in. We just need that base map so we can mark it up with the new layout. We're not in any kind of violation there. DEP is aware of what's happening and the interplay with Army Corps and all that. Item K is Pembroke and Monroe. This was authorized for bids at the last commission meeting, and we will be advertising shortly to have that project start in the fall. Item L, we're still waiting on that video for the vault. Frank, I don't think did we get it?
I don't believe so.
I don't think we got it yet. So that's the Adams Avenue pump station concept that we're working on. The stormwater design work is progressing, but we need to see what's in that vault, and we don't have the video yet on that. Item M is our 2020 DOT state aid application that was submitted on that it's 17th, and we sent our resolutions up, so now we are just waiting to hear back from DOT. They've made a commitment to announce that grant program awards before the end of the year. Item N is miscellaneous engineering. We discussed the bolts out on the beach, and what's not on here, and I'll just give it as a general update, there's a resolution on the agenda today to award the traffic study to us, and we have a meeting scheduled with Commissioner Blumberg tomorrow morning with our traffic engineer to get that project moving right away, and we hope to start, we will be starting traffic counts next week, so we'll keep that project moving without any kind of delay. Moving down to construction, you see here the list of maintenance bonds that are open. We have released the top two. We can touch on the boiler leak here if you'd like. I know Fred has been coordinating and meeting with the contractor and the manufacturer's rep. And I've seen emails and letters flying back and forth, and of course, Mr. Abbott sent out his information and they responded. So we have movement, and from what I understand, where this may be heading is they may have or has it changed since you and I spoke? Okay.
We'll wait till,
Okay,
We'll wait.
we'll wait. Okay, good enough. Point is, it is moving along towards a repair. Turning the page to item P. Okay, Winchester Avenue. So this project is sitting idle. We have some pavement restoration to do at the intersection of Drome and Amherst. The update here is that we did request a proposal from our contractor on this project, Perna Finnegan, to repave the entire intersection of Drome and Amherst. Because we're going to be reconstructing the intersection, we also need to reconstruct the concrete curb ramps. We received that information this morning. The price that was submitted by Perna Finnegan for the work was $103,975, which is higher than what we expected. I think our estimate was around $70. We questioned the price, and the explanation we got is that, and there's truth to this, that because of the way they're going to have to do the work with the traffic control and splitting splitting it in half, and they're going to get really low productivity out of the mill and pave operation. It's such a small job. These guys are going to call in subs to do this work. It drove the price up. So we have a couple options here. But before I go into those options, I was also able to finally connect with John Peterson, who's the Director of Planning at the county. And Mr. Peterson indicated that it would be his recommendation to fund 50% of this work. So what he asked that we do is that we send a letter from the city to the county executive detailing what it is that we're requesting. And it will be, again, it'll be John's recommendation to freeholders that they do move forward with a 50-50 interlocal to pay for half this cost.
That's good. Good job.
Can we ask you to draft
I'll
that?
draft a
and
letter
make
for
sign
city
it?
letterhead, yep. Now, again, this is Mr. Peterson's recommendation. Obviously, it's got to go through the process, but he was in favor of it.
Good.
From an implementation standpoint, we could do it, although this price is a little high, it would fall within the 20% threshold on their contract, so we could do it as part of their contract. The other option would be to bid it out, but then you're going to have the cost associated with preparing the bid documents and getting it out to bid, so it cuts into some savings that you might get if you were to bid it out publicly. So you could kind of go either one of those routes. Third option would be, we do have Lafayette coming into town, although I'm leery to slap a $75,000 to $100,000 change order on their project before they even put a shovel in the ground on Atlantic Avenue.
What would your recommendation?
So I think we could go back to Perna Finnegan and work with them on this price. It was, it was their, called their first pass at it, and see if there's, if we can get the price down some. The other thing I'll say is, the price is $103,000 to do this intersection work. What will come off of that is there was some final paving that hasn't been done yet that was already in this contract, because they were going to have to final pave that trench where they did the sewer replacement. That was about $7,000. So in reality, it's a net cost increase of, let's say, $95,000. We'll go back to the contractor, try to work that price down a little bit. My recommendation would be is if we can get them down a little more, the cost savings you might get by putting this out to bid, you're going to lose on the soft cost of putting it out to bid. If we could get the county to buy in on the 50-50 proposition, you've already got Perna Finnegan lined up to do the work, just have it done that way.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm all set.
So I have a quick question for you and I think John. What if we tried to do the job at night? I know you might pay overtime or maybe time and a half depending on the crews, but then you wouldn't have they could probably do the whole job. I don't know if that's something that you might ask them, or does that make sense, John?
Well, on a job that goes more than 5 days, it goes to shift differential. It's not overtime.
Okay.
It's a 10% differential. So their wages go up by 10%, which isn't
Which
a
is not that
tremendous.
bad,
It's
right?
not a tremendous increase. The only thing you'd have issue is the neighborhood,
The noise.
the
Right.
noise, because it's mill. And concrete, you have to open up a concrete plant at night. I think it's a great idea.
Is it worth asking? I mean, as when you're talking to them, maybe just see
We
what
can
they
ask,
say.
what they're not going to be able to answer is what Commissioner Amadeo just brought up, is the noise issue and all that. So we could ask what the cost difference, we can ask.
Right.
you know.
Fine.
But opening the plants, concrete and asphalt
Yeah.
for night is, unless it's
Okay.
unless it's a big product, they're not gonna, big product turnover, they're not gonna go for it. I mean, Ed, you can ask, you know.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Ed, move on.
Moving along, Burke Avenue is closed out. This was an asphalt paving systems project, so the work is complete. Item R, Benson Avenue exterior water tank painting. This was a job that got postponed into the fall because of the issue with Atlantic City Electric. That issue has been worked out. The contractor is doing what they need to do and paying Atlantic City Electric to do the relocations they need to do to make this project move forward in the fall. 2017 and 18 curb and gutter program, we've requested a schedule from the contractor to finish up their punch list work and get that job closed out. Item T is closed out. That'll actually just come off the list next month. our next meeting. Item U is the municipal building playground upgrades. They're wrapping up their punch list work, so we can get that job closed out. Item V is the Gladstone Avenue water tank. We have a one-year anniversary inspection as part of the contract that will be completed in the very near future, within the next couple of weeks. We're coordinating that with the contractor. Beach vehicle access points is complete. That could come off the list, other than we do want to get a price to do some paving on Granville in the area that was disturbed, and we'll request that price from one of our contractors in town. And the last item on the list, I have received I don't want to call it a commitment, I've received a statement that the final item on the South Jersey Gas punch list at 120 North Huntington Avenue will be completed next week. So we will see. That's all I have.
Ed, I'm sorry, Ed, do you have a contact where I would refund any balance of their escrow from the gas company?
Yeah, I can get you a contact for that.
Roger?
Everything's still busy in the planning office. It's probably going to be a busy meeting in August and September and October as well. A lot of phone calls about planning board applications pending, so other than that, nothing there to report.
Can I just add that maybe the refunding of the escrow should take the same amount of time as completion of the project?
You got it.
Okay. Thank you.
We can get interest on that money, right?
Roger. Jimmy?
Yeah, I want to thank Chief Hankinson for helping a contractor out at Decatur, Winchester. That's a major dilemma down there with the delivery showing up and blocking the street, and the police cars can't exit, and public works can't entrance and exit. It's going to be a little bit of a problem because he's complaining he can't finish the project because he can't get deliveries, but I think the chief's going to work it out with him. If he lets the police department know, they'll make provisions to get an officer over there to expedite traffic control. The other thing I want to talk about is we sent you an email with all our rental email containing all the current rental occupancies in the city of Margate. I hope everybody can open that up and check it out. Chief, you should have got a copy of that, and we'll send one every 2 weeks to you.
Yeah, I did. I got a copy of that, and I forwarded it to our shift supervisors, so they now know where all the rentals are in case there's any problems, and they have the homeowner's information, so it's good information.
One every 2 weeks, right?
Perfect.
Got it.
Jim, have they filled out the landlord-tenant paperwork?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Okay, because I need copies of that.
Frank?
Yeah, on Monday, the city of Margate partnered with the ACUA and Rutgers University's environmental stewards and the Margate Green Team to conduct the first stage of a recycling audit. They went around in various areas of Margate, checking people's recycling and telling them the do's and don'ts, which I showed you at the last meeting, and residents were accepted it very well. It's an educational program. And this program will continue for the next 3 Mondays. Also, the New Jersey Clean Communities Council will be holding their annual 3-day Clean Communities Coordinators training course at the Bloom Pavilion. The dates are August 8th, 16th, and 22nd. If anybody would like to register and be a coordinator, you're more than welcome. Today we had also a few pieces of playground equipment delivered, which we'll probably be installing next week. These are pieces that were broken and dangerous, and we had to remove them. So we will be installing them within the next week. That's all I have.
Thank you, Frank. Scott?
Following up on Ed Dennis's comment about the leaky boiler at the Union Avenue City Hall, we did get a response from Brady. I am not quite sure how to pronounce his name. Brady Sacchetti. They are the boiler people. Their proposal is $5,012. I'm not sure who has this. Fred, did you get this?
Yeah.
You did get it. So that's to deal with the leaking problem. And I guess the next issue is who pays the $5,000?
Yeah, so
It's under warranty, right?
So
first of all, the boiler's here. It's not at 9,001.
Oh, I'm sorry, here.
It's this building. And from everything that I read, there's a 10-year manufacturer warranty on the iron that was installed in 2015. So the iron is good until 2025. The problem, from everything I could see, is, you know, they think that the leak is coming from gaskets or whatever. I'm more worried that there's cracks in the iron. So Bradley Sanchetti, what they did, they came up with a list of what they're going to do if they get the job, to check the boiler, make sure it's right, and then fix it, put it back together, fix it, test it, make sure it's good. The only problem I have with what they want to do is at the bottom it says all work performed by them will be warrant to be free from defects and workmanship and materials for the remainder of the contractor's maintenance period. When is the contractor's maintenance period over?
It's over.
So so basically their warranty is as good as the taillights on their trucks.
And
that
that's
right?
the nature of where we are. We had our 2-year maintenance period, and we were able to catch this defect before the maintenance period ran out. Now, if there are manufacturer's warranties in place that go beyond that 2-year maintenance period, those would still be in effect.
Right, but that's only for the iron.
Right, and that's what we bought. I mean, that's what we
Right,
bought, that's what
so,
we contracted.
so let's say they come in and do it, they walk away, and in 6 months I have another leak because they didn't torque the bolts down correctly. We can't call
So
them?
to me, and that's a Scott question, but that is still part of the same claim that we made while it was still under maintenance.
I just want to make sure that's clear going forward, because in my opinion, this is your job to make sure it gets done, correct? And my recommendation would be to make sure Bradley Sanchetti does the job, because they called me to ask if our contractor would do it, which is CM3. But I don't think it's right to get another contractor involved in something that they did the installation on, and they came and looked at, and they gave us an idea of what they want to do to fix it. So it's my recommendation that Wilkinson pays the $5,000 to these guys and let them fix it. That's my recommendation. I don't think we should bring in anybody else to go look at it.
Go ahead.
So I have a question. Because this is going on so long, I might have forgotten. Who's the manufacturer of the boiler? Is it an A.O. Smith, a Weil McLean? Whose boiler is it?
It's, they don't say whose boiler it is. It's Smith Cast Iron Boiler Series. That's
So
what
an
they tell
A.O.
me.
Smith.
So there you go.
So here's what I think. I think we should, through RVE, contact the boiler manufacturer. They specify boilers every day of the week, of the year, of the month. If our engineer agrees to contact them and say, we want your rep, a manufacturer's rep, to come out and look at this boiler. They've got engineers and experts that they will send
did
out.
that.
So they did that. And so when their engineer and expert came out, he said what? Did he say that there were cracks?
He said that there's a visual, they did the visual inspection, there's a sign of water leakage coming from the right side, blah, 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 blah. At this time, it appears to be damaged gasket. However, the back section is removed from the boiler, and a dye check should be performed to see if there's any cracks, which is what I was afraid of when I went into this thing.
But if there's cracks, is that not his issue?
Yes, so if there's cracks, then they
So he
replace
wants us
that.
to pay to investigate what his issue is?
No, he didn't say that.
No.
That's not said.
No.
It just
Okay.
says it's 5,000.
It's for Wilkinson to pay.
Yeah, we're not
That's
paying
who's
that.
paying.
No. What I'm saying is, why is not A.O. Smith investigating what his issue is?
It might not be, it could have over.
Yeah, but it's
So-
incumbent upon him, in my opinion.
If there's a crack, he's gonna replace that section. That's what they're
We should tell
gonna
him
do.
that there's a crack.
You can't, you have to go through the process.
They gotta magnify it.
this is the cat chasing his tail.
It's,
We got the maintenance fund. We got
it's not really the cat chasing his tail. We're gonna get it done, it's gonna get done the right way.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is, I think that Wilkinson should be smart enough to know that, to use this company to do the work and not try and lowball it with somebody else.
Right.
So who will contact Bob Wilkinson?
I can.
Is that your
Yeah,
job?
Yep.
That's your job?
their job.
Yes.
You're
Mayor,
gonna
may I-
contact him tomorrow, work it out with him, and
Yep.
if
Just backing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they dye and x-ray it prior to determining whether there's a bad gasket?
well, that's what a part of this
Correct.
proposal talks about.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
There's
is
a
gonna
whole,
happen.
there's a
Okay.
whole list of what they're going to do.
All right.
And so I just want to ask one more thing. Ed, can you check your specs for what the boiler warranty is? How many years?
10 years
I'll
on iron,
confirm it.
10 years on iron, and 2 years for installations, which is passed.
So again, addressing your concern, we're covered if there's a crack.
Correct, that's correct.
You know,
They're gonna replace the section if it's cracked.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the other one was the fishing pier. Now, we've made some revisions to the proposed document. I have forwarded to their president. I did talk to one of their board members, and I've offered them, if they want, I can hook up with them on Saturday. But then a lot of these guys don't live here, they're not here all week long. I also reached out to Dave Rosenblatt of the DEP, who tells me that this is for real. He said he wants to see our deal with the fishing pier for the public access is contingent upon the DEP furnishing money for them to extend their pier out. And so what'll ultimately happen, we're working, I know John's been on top of this, what we're trying to do is get it to the point where we have it in writing, it'll be contingent upon DEP funding, which Rosenblatt says looks pretty good that they're gonna do that. And then, well, we gotta fine tune this agreement. How much is it contingent on? But it's some minor points though. But we're gonna do the stairs, right, John? That'll be on us?
Yeah, Scott, one question. Has Maury and Mike seen the document that you drew up?
I believe we sent out drafts to everybody a few days ago.
Okay.
But it's a draft.
So I would ask Mike and Maury to review
Yeah.
and make sure you feel comfortable. I mean, we're not responsible for any major work. It would be just basically normal
Steps and
maintenance.
maintenance, right?
Steps in, if there's a cracked
Steps and
board, we
maintenance.
would replace it. And naturally, we would put, hopefully, trash cans up there because people go up there to eat lunch, et cetera. So Frank, again, I'm asking you another favor, as always. So, it's a work in progress at this point. So I just want Mike and Maury to be on board if they have any questions or want to make any changes also.
I believe
But
everybody
I
has
was
a
pretty
copy of it,
satisfied
but-
with your wording in it.
And I'm, just waiting for those guys. Like I said, I know they're busy, they're out of town, all that. I can hook up with them Saturday, I'm around. Or Sunday, I don't care.
Scott, this is essentially a lease that we would enter into, is that correct? What is
No.
the terminology?
No, I'm gonna word it as an easement. Originally, we were talking about a license. I looked at some of the other documents. I talked to Dave Rosenblatt, who explained to me that, we're talking $800,000 here. They want,
They're gonna give us an easement?
not us.
The
Yes,
pier.
the
I'm
pier,
interested because of the insurance question.
the pier, and I think we've already reached out to Dave on this one. We will have an easement. We will thus have an insurable position for the use of our easement for public access. That's the concept but we'll get it in black and white. Let Dave work on that so that we have an insurable. So if somebody goes up there and they fall and they're hurt, our deal with the pier is that we have to have an insurance policy or general liability. Right?
I know these are,
Go ahead, what?
Go, Scott.
sorry.
Okay, so that's it, and I'm, we're getting there. Anybody has any input on it, certainly we'll make sure we have an insurable interest.
You have anything else?
No, sir, Mayor. I
Thank
think
you.
that's it.
Fred, how about you?
I said my piece, Mayor, thank you.
Johanna?
All's good in the clerk's office.
John?
I said my piece also.
We're all talking
right
about
along.
Marty.
Well, so I have more to say.
All right.
So, if perchance you're tired of watching the Phillies one night, I'm proud to report that the Margate Hurricanes, who are part of the Atlantic County Baseball League, which has been in existence for over 100 years, have made it to the finals. And the finals start Monday night at our rec complex, at our beautiful rec complex. Thank you, Frank. Monday night, if you want to watch a good local baseball game with some really good players, that'll be Monday night at 7 o'clock. So either Hamilton or Northfield. I believe
Playing
Northfield.
Northfield.
Yeah, Northfield won. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. I'm good too. I've said my piece. Chief, you left us, but we'll give you a reprieve. That's okay.
That's all right, thank you.
Just real simple. It's been very busy in the fire department. We continue to have an increased volume in our calls. I do want to remind everyone, we spoke about at the last meeting, August 12th will be the project that's starting in Ventnor, so you might see some Ventnor police, fire, and emergency vehicles responding through Margate to get to areas of town. And I know Chief Hankinson has met with Captain Fussner, so we're all on the page, and we're going to be providing them with some automatic mutual aid just to 3 buildings and areas during that time period. Otherwise, I don't know if Commissioner Amadeo was going to mention it. We do have the Margate Memorials to Margate tomorrow night. Margate, the Beach Patrol has been preparing all week. I've been speaking with Chief Smallwood. It's actually going to be a live broadcast on 97.3 FM. So if anybody's interested in listening, that'll start at 6 p.m. and go till about 8 or 8:30 tomorrow night on the radio. But it's really a neat event. It's a great event, and it honors our veterans, you know, as far as the Margate Memorials being a World War II memorial event. So please, if you're not busy, come on out tomorrow night. Great event on the beach, and have a great time. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
6:30 p.m.
Right down the street. Decatur, Washington, goes all the way down to Monroe pretty much.
No, it works. We will now open for public comment. 3 minutes on any item that was discussed here today. If you're here for any other discussion, you'll have to wait till we go to the beginning of the next meeting. Is there any public comment?
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, following up on the remarks of Ed concerning the dredging, may I once again urge you and your 2 commissioners to be fiscally prudent and responsible, and ask Ed to do a workup of estimated cost on the various different options on dredging. I think it's long overdue, Mayor. You can't simply go with an unknown number. Because if you recall, Mayor, following up on Richard Deeney's remarks, that you blew $1 million on that Field of Dreams, and the 2 Halalias you had as co-commissioners, they managed to blow another $1 million. So you're going to do upgrades on the upgrades on the upgrades. And Deeney's assertion that these upgrades would somehow attract families and children, it's purely bogus, Mr. Deeney, purely bogus. You don't have to take Mr. Sewell's word for it. Don't, please don't. But you can look at the school board's own statistics. The school population has been plummeting. Oh, please give me a break. It's been over the last 10 years plummeting.
It's not
Mr. Sewell, they told you. Kindergarten class
is going up.
Almost double what it was last year.
Oh, one class.
We don't know what that means, but
one class.
Once again, I ask you to please be correct when you speak.
Oh, I'll strive for that lofty goal. But statistics have shown, statistics will prove that the student population over the past 10 years has plummeted. And if you have one aberration of one grade, so be it. But the important thing to remember is that you don't attract people with upgrades to the upgrades to the upgrades. I think it's time to stop squandering money and lowering taxes. I can't think of something that would attract families more than low taxes. So
I agree with you, John.
I'm glad
Not very often
I'm
that
glad we're on the
happens.
same page. Because when that 2020 census comes out, it's going to prove the situation where the year-round population in Margate as well has been plummeting. And some of this responsibility has to be shared by this commission. And it has to strive to be fiscally prudent and fiscally responsible. And if you're not, you're going to continue to chase people out of town, starting with the senior citizens. Thank you very much, Mayor. Enjoy the next 13 seconds.
Thank you, Chuck. You're-
Can we just,
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Teasdale, 305 North Wilson Avenue. I want to thank everybody for their work on the flood valves. You guys took care of my street, I guess last year and a half. It's working out great. I don't know if there's anybody in charge of these valves yet that's assigned as a city employee, but if I can find out if there's somebody I could talk to about that afterwards, I'll need to find out right now.
Okay.
The reason I'm here tonight is, and I've heard a couple people mention already, about how it's a family-oriented town. We're trying to grab more families. We're worried about safety, everything else like that. Some traffic patterns. Amherst Avenue is a major problem. I live down on Wilson, just on the bay side of Amherst. We need help down there. Okay? It's dangerous. You got bicyclists riding down the street. There's not enough room for the bicyclists, the cars, and the parking on the street. So we need to do something about it. Now, I've got other people that are, and there's some people aren't here tonight, but they're gonna start coming every 2 weeks until something gets done about it. Because we need like bike lanes. I really think you need bike lanes on Amherst from basically Washington all the way down to the school, to the park. So the kids can ride on the bikes in the designated lane. Because there's so much traffic with bikes. You get down there anytime. And people are parking all the way up onto the corners. So you can't see them when you're coming down the side streets. So as soon as you pull out, you gotta nose your card all the way out into Amherst just to see if somebody's coming down, a kid's coming down the street on a bicycle. It's not right. There's no reason for it, you know? And one other thing, and I'll end it because I'm not gonna waste time for no reason. And I don't know if it's okay to do it, but that Amherst and Jerome project, why not consider shutting the intersection down for a week and get it done all at one time? A little bit of detour could save us a lot of money. Nobody would care if you're saving money. So it might be something to consider. I don't know what the rules are, but that's what I would do.
Okay.
It's a simple solution. As far as the boiler goes,
Wait. We'll get back. What do you?
Well, it's a county road. It's not our decision.
yeah, but I know, but you could ask the county. Because, it's their money too.
Yeah.
We just told me that they were gonna give half the money in. So if you could save them half the money they're gonna give you, I bet you they'd be happy with it. And the other thing is about the boiler, obviously the manufacturer needs the X-ray. My brother works on those things, so, that has to be done. They installed it, they're responsible. They're responsible for the installation. So there's no reason to let them get away with anything. That's all I gotta say about that. They're not.
Okay, thank you. Brian, if you had been here an hour before we had a discussion about Amherst Avenue, it was just coincidental with your appearing there, you will see we're gonna investigate, you'll see some changes there, which will help alleviate those problems.
I'd like to know when you're gonna have those meetings so I can be here for them too, also, obviously.
Nothing's
I
scheduled
think
yet.
public input would be important on that.
I agree.
What's that?
Mike, if I may?
Sure.
So a couple of the general things that we've discussed that we're going to be looking at: making Amherst Avenue one way, no parking on Amherst, bike lanes on Amherst, either on one side or both. So there are things that are in the works. It's just timely that you brought it up. We're talking about it. So thank you.
Okay, you got it. Thanks.
Thanks. Any other public comment?
Yeah, just real briefly.
Your name and address, please.
My name's Thomas Harris. I'm at 507 North Union, which is on the bay side of Amherst. But to follow up on Mr. Teasdale's comment about biking safety and just community well-being with the traffic and the bikes that are all trying to share the roads, my 16-year-old son was hit on Amherst about 2 weeks ago. And I'm not here to talk about that, but I do want to just reinforce the fact the trends are more bikes and more cars. So until we do something about it, people will continue to have accidents and, you know, hopefully only get hurt, not killed. But I think these options that you mentioned are good. If you go one way on Amherst, you're gonna shift.
Just go through it.
Okay, may I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Mayor Becker. Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?